So there is a new Rey Skywalker movie in development for Star Wars. And the director is Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy. And she was interviewed around New Year's just about her career in general. But of course, she was asked about being the director tapped to make the next Star Wars movie. And here's what she had to say. She says, "I'm very thrilled about the project because I feel what we're about to create is something very special," Obaid-Chinoy told CNN. "We're in 2024 now, and it's about time that we had a woman come forward to shape a story in a galaxy far, far away." Now, it depends on what you mean by it's about time we had a woman come forward to shape a story. Because if you mean it's about time we've had a woman direct a feature Star Wars film, then this would be the first time. If we ignore the Rogue Squadron movie that was canceled. If we ignore that Obi-Wan Kenobi was originally going to be a film, but then became a TV show, but still had a female director. If we ignore that Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett and Ahsoka have all had women directors. If we ignore that Kathleen Kennedy has been the president of Lucasfilm since the Disney acquisition. Women have been in leadership roles in Lucasfilm for a very long time. So when we talk about this, it's about time we had a woman come forward to shape a story. You have to put a lot of asterisks on that for that statement to be true. Deborah Chow, she was directing episodes of The Mandalorian. Actually, I think, yeah, here we are, The Mandalorian. So we can see here, she directed the 3rd episode. Bryce Dallas Howard directed the 4th episode of The Mandalorian. That's Ron Howard's daughter. So both of them have directed for Star Wars. And then I think Rachel Morrison in season 3. And then I think for Book of Boba Fett, here we are. Steph Green, Bryce Dallas Howard again, and Ahsoka, we had Steph Green come back. And we also had Jennifer Getzinger and Geeta Vasant Patel. So we've had a lot of women directors in Star Wars. This is the first time that we've had one directing a film, except for the time that Rogue Squadron was in development and Patty Jenkins was attached to that. I am not at all opposed to women telling stories, of course. I love women. Got to be one of my favorite genders. And Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy is a critically acclaimed and award-winning filmmaker. She has made a ton of documentary films. She's won 2 Academy Awards for them. And the interview at CNN kind of made it look like she was selling herself in Star Wars based on the fact that she's a woman. And like, I feel like at some point you can just point to your body of work that has won a lot of accolades. And it's not like this is her first foray into fiction either. She made an animated series, or like 3 animated films in Pakistan. Oh, actually 4, I guess. Satara is also animated. She was the director on Miss Marvel, and now we've got her doing the next Star Wars movie. So, you know, I'm interested to see what she has for us. I'm a little skeptical of trying to sell it based on the fact that she's a woman, because of course she's a woman, but she's so much more than just a woman, and just being a woman itself isn't any kind of qualification to tell a story, just like being a man isn't any kind of qualification to tell a story. I think having a woman tell Rey's story definitely informs the kind of stories that you can tell there. I would be interested to see what she does with it. But, and here's the problem, is that every time you do this, the worst people on the internet are going to pick that up and say, oh, they hate men, which, like, she didn't say she hates men, although we will see something that she had to say. But, like, it makes it hard for us to engage with this criticism, because I have to couch, like I said, I didn't necessarily like that her commentary on directing a Star Wars movie was all about how she's a woman, because she's got so much more that she can stand on there. But a bunch of people are just going to take that and say, oh, Star Wars has gone woke, and, well, that's exactly what Fox News has to say.
Is to make men feel uncomfortable.
Okay, Star Wars director aims to make men feel uncomfortable. Okay, so before we do that, let's actually watch the clip. Hey, Matt Walsh, friend of the channel, you clipped this. So we'll get to this first, and then we'll talk about the Fox News reaction. So here is an interview with Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy and Ava DuVernay and Meryl Streep with Jon Stewart. Now, I should point out that this is being posted in the year of our Lord 2024, but I found the interview right here. This was posted April 23rd, 2015. So this is from like when she was just known as a documentary filmmaker. This is before I think her animated features had come out yet. So she wasn't even really involved in fiction at this point. So the clip that you're going to see, you should have it informed by the fact that what she's doing is making documentaries and telling truths about the world and about probably, I haven't seen her stuff, but it's presumably mostly focused around like issues in Pakistan and the Middle East and stuff like that. But let's hear what she has to say.
What is the balance of activating a force for change, but also trying to permeate that patriarchy, that power structure? And is that a part of the calculation of your art as well? And what's been the reaction to that?
Oh, absolutely. I like to make men uncomfortable. I enjoy making men uncomfortable. Not you, just not you. Not
John Stewart gets the pass. Yeah, so she's talking about her documentary films, right? And yeah, like men being the hegemonic gender in society tends to have an expectation that things are tailored to them, which is usually the case. So when people want to tell stories that aren't explicitly about men, they start to feel uncomfortable, like, wait, this isn't what I'm used to. Do people hate me now? And that is a sensation of discomfort. It's something they're not used to. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Let's hear the rest of her statement here.
Point taken, point taken.
But, it is important to be able to look into the eyes of a man and say, I am here, and recognize that. And recognize that I am working to bring something that makes you uncomfortable, and it should make you uncomfortable because you need to change your attitude. And it's only when you're uncomfortable, when you're shifty, when you have to have difficult conversations that you will perhaps look at yourself in the mirror and not like the reflection. And then say, maybe there is something wrong with the way I think, or maybe there is something wrong with the way I am addressing this issue.
Okay. I find nothing objectionable about what she said. Obviously, people like Matt Walsh are going to be. Jake the Pog says, art should comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable. You have that in quotes. Who said that? Because that sounds like a really good quote. Now that clip is out, again, for context, she is not talking about Star Wars in that. That was an interview from like 9 years ago. So people are digging up something from a decade ago to say that she is making a man-hating Star Wars. Let's see what Fox News has to say.
Is to make men feel uncomfortable. Guess what? They're not going to watch it, and I'm certainly not going to be the one to pull it up. So just like Captain Marvel, when they try to put these women-first agendas into these action movies, they flop. And this.
Okay, hold up. She said just like Captain Marvel. What she meant to say was the Marvels, because the Marvels did flop. Captain Marvel, on the other hand, the first one made over $1 billion. And it was exactly as woke as the sequel. These people are hacks. It's culture war talking points. That's the phrase I was looking for.
They flop, and this is going to do the same.
To that end, a few data points. Try that in a small town. #1 on iTunes. Sound of Freedom earns 100 million.
Okay, Sound of Freedom, which is about a guy who has recently been accused of multiple instances of sexual misconduct. Sound of Freedom has some sketchy stuff going on in terms of how it actually made money. Because Angel Studios was doing a pay-it-forward model where you could go to their website and buy tickets for other people to use. And that pay-it-forward model, I think they made like $500 million just doing that. They bought far more tickets than actually ended up being redeemed to go and see that movie. So when you talk about Sound of Freedom having 100 million at the box office, there's some fishy stuff going around there. Like there's some like money laundering stuff it looks like is going on around there. But yeah, no, Sound of Freedom, I'm sorry, Sound of Freedom's not going to do better than Star Wars. You're right, Jake the Pog.
Top Gun breaks Memorial Day weekend record. Modelo, Best Bud Light, Ben & Jerry's loses $2 billion. Disney loses $900 million. But best of luck to the feminist director.
She's just reading like talking points. Disney, actually I haven't looked at the numbers about what if Disney's lost, but I do know that Disney did not do the best in the box office in 2023. I think it lost its dominance to Warner Brothers. I know it wasn't number one at the box office, just overall. And I haven't looked at all of the numbers, but anytime that they see any of these businesses losing money, they're going to blame it on wokeness and not on the changing nature of the entertainment industry, where they're all like investing heavily into streaming and finding out that streaming doesn't have the return on investment that they thought it would. So a lot of people are losing money that way.
I'm sure yours will be a hit.
Yeah. That's why I am a Trekkie. Ooh. And not
Okay. She said that specifically just to dunk on Star Wars. First off, look at the hand. Now, the hand shape is correct, but notice how this is the back of the hand and not the palm. She is facing the wrong way to do the Vulcan salute. And secondly, it's Star Trek, the wokest franchise that ever woke up. In fact, we're just going to go back.
That's why I am a Trekkie. Ooh. And not Star Wars. All right, guys, we're outnumbered in just a moment.
Oh, and not play that because I don't want that music to get me hit. But yeah, Metroplex Asylum says she thought she cooked. Yeah, no, seriously. How can you decry a franchise for wokeness and then say that's why I prefer Star Trek? It's completely just... Anyway, all of that out of the way. I wish that these right-wing ghouls would just go away forever so that we could actually have honest talks about this stuff, because until they stop making sex like, just the most basic talking war point. Anytime somebody makes something about their sex or about their gender, they have to distill it down that they hate men. It makes these conversations harder to have, because I don't want Star Wars to be sold solely on the fact that a woman is making it. Because as we just saw, here's some dumbass women. I don't want to hear what their opinion is on this shit. There's no chance they could make a good Star Wars movie, so just being a woman on its own is not enough. But Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy has 2 Academy Awards. She should lead with that. And as a final point, she is not. Even if we take her that, yes, there has not been a woman directing a Star Wars feature film. That is true. We haven't had one of those yet. But where we're standing currently, they haven't started production on that one, so she hasn't directed one either yet. And given the track record of Lucasfilm with canceled Star Wars projects, I don't even believe that this film is happening until they actually start filming it. Here we are. Screen Rant has every unmade and canceled Star Wars movie and TV show. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to use this as a list, but George Lucas had his plan for the sequel trilogy. Colin Trevorrow was originally going to be doing a Rise of Skywalker, or called Duel of the Fates. I haven't read his script on that, but that got canceled and J.J. Abrams took over. Boba Fett's solo Star Wars movie. Okay, but we got the series, so that's fine. Mos Eisley Spaceport movie. Apparently they were planning that. Splinter of the Mind's Eye, that was just a planned low-budget sequel to Star Wars if it didn't take off. Here we go. David Benioff and D.B. Weiss Star Wars trilogy. That's right. The guys who did Game of Thrones were going to make a Star Wars trilogy. In fact, they were so excited to get started on that Star Wars trilogy that they half-assed the last season of Game of Thrones, and it performed so poorly critically that they lost this franchise. They were in such a rush to get to it that they fucked up their entire image as creators. Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron. They made a big deal about this one. They even filmed an announcement trailer with Patty Jenkins at an Air Force base. And that didn't happen. Kevin Feige's Star Wars movie isn't happening now. David Lindelof was originally attached to make a sequel for Rey Skywalker. Guillermo del Toro's The Rise and Fall of Jabba the Hutt. Star Wars Underworld. This was a show that George Lucas was planning back in the mid-aughts. He wanted to make a 100-episode TV series that would bridge the gap between episodes 3 and 4. They wrote 100 scripts for it. Now, a lot of those scripts, I think they ended up, it says here that the concept for Rogue One was one of the planned episodes of Star Wars Underworld, as was the story of Han winning the Falcon from Lando, which was seen in Solo. Then we've got Rangers of the New Republic, which was going to be the Cara Dune show, except that Gina Carano couldn't stop being transphobic and anti-vax on Twitter. And I think also anti-Semitic. I think she was getting into some of that stuff. So she lost her show. That's not happening now. And this doesn't even include other projects that we really haven't heard about. They announced a Lando series, but when they announced the Lando series, I couldn't help but notice that they didn't say that Donald Glover was attached or that Billy D. Williams was attached. You know, the two actors who have played Lando. So I have no idea if that's happening. So when we talk about how this new Rey movie is going to be the first one directed by a woman, that is all purely hypothetical. We have no idea if this gets made. And that's not even to mention what happens to the films that did get made. Solo was being directed by Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. You know, the guys who did the Lego movie and then went on to make the Spider-Verse movies. And they were fired halfway into filming and replaced with Ron Howard. So even if they start the movie with a woman directing it, there's no guarantee that that's going to be the finished product either. Anyway, I hope it is a fantastic film. Actually, I want to find out which episodes of because it says she directed 2 episodes. I want to know which episode she directed. I would venture a guess it was probably the 5th episode. 4th and the 5th episodes. Okay, that doesn't surprise me. The 5th episode of Miss Marvel had Kamala Khan going back in time to Pakistan during its formation when they were, there was a specific term for it, but it was like one of the first times that I'd really found out about some of the horrible things that happened when Pakistan was split off from India and some of the, you know, the forced relocations and stuff that went on there. And that makes sense that that would be something that she directed because she's a documentary filmmaker. So tragedies like that sounds like, you know, something she's very interested in. And this was one of the strongest episodes of the show. So she's got the talent. I don't have enough faith in Lucasfilm, not just, forget Charmin Obaid-Chinoy, I'm sure she's fine. I don't have faith in Lucasfilm that this will come to fruition just based on their track record. The British Partition? Yeah, okay, that's what it was. The Partition, thank you. Yes. But anyway, no, they are not going to cut off your penises if you want to go see a Star Wars movie. It's going to be fine. They aren't going to deny movie tickets to men. You will still be able to see a Star Wars. It's okay. It's okay. Hey, thanks for watching. Your view means a lot. Don't forget to toss me a like and subscribe and ring the bell. And drop a comment below telling me what you thought of the video. I stream Mondays and Fridays at 5 p.m. Pacific and Sundays at 2, so catch me live and join in on the convo. You can find all my socials in the description below, and thank you to all my patrons with a very special shout out to my Whaled Shark tier patron Ryan D and my Anemone friend tier patron Piftle Cakes. Your support means the world. Catch you next time.